Welcome to the Galactic Center Astrology. Towards the end of the presentation, I'll also touch on additional super cosmic points that are kind of like the higher octave of the Galactic Center, so that the more advanced astrologers here can take it a step further. Before that, I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Julia Balaz, and you can find all about my work on my website and my various social media where I share my research and my work related to astrology that includes deep space objects like fixed stars, black holes, nebulas, and so on. It's a very exciting topic that is dear to my heart. So I hope you will resonate with the information that you'll find on my platforms. So let me share my presentation very briefly about how I got involved with this topic. For 7 years, I assisted people as a full-time quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, helping people regress to most appropriate time in past, present, parallel, future, lifetimes, stories, ancestral experiences, to help them find answers, to find healing, and to improve their life in the most appropriate way. Throughout that process, I asked every single client of mine their birth details, and after their session, I enjoyed going through their astrological charts, just kind of looking for proof and validation to stories that they shared with me about their childhood, their life, their family, and their struggles, their challenges, but also the gifts and blessings in their life. And of course, I found endless proofs, and each time I was falling in love with astrology more and more. At some point, I also started looking at the fixed stars and deep space objects, and just became more and more enchanted and fascinated by the astrology and just by the sheer intelligence that governs our lives. Last year, so kind of halfway through 2022, one of my students of the Galactic Astrology courses that I created emailed me a link to an interview of Philip Sedgwick, who is a well-known astrologer and invaluable contributor to the astrology community over the years. I'll talk about him shortly. So I listened to the interview where Philip was talking about the Galactic Center and additional super cosmic points, and I was excited to hear a lot of the information that he shared was validating what I was discovering throughout my own research. So I contacted Philip at the end of last year, and he accepted my invitation to interview him about the topic of deep space astrology. You can find this interview on my Rumble account under Galactic Astrology. He doesn't like to be featured on YouTube, but he allowed me to share it on Rumble. So Philip started his journey on researching deep space objects back in 1976. I wholeheartedly encourage you to visit his website where you can read about all his achievements. But one of my favorites that I want to highlight here is the ephemeris that he created that includes 8,700 deep space objects, which is now the add-on to the Solar Fire, the astrological professional software. I could go on and on about Philip. I found a lot of courage to talk about my discoveries more publicly because I found a lot of validation in his research that span over decades. So the main theme that I found common with people who have natal planets conjunct galactic center or several planets in tight aspect to the galactic center is that they are wired differently. They are able to perceive what I call multidimensionally or quantumly. And what I mean by that is able to perceive past, present, and future simultaneously. They can tap into their soul records with greater ease. They can sense people's essence, people's motivation easier than people who don't. It's not an easy alignment. People who have a lot of these kind of super cosmic points in their chart, they feel very in tune with cosmic consciousness. They feel the collective consciousness. They are pondering meaning of life more than people who don't have these alignments. And I don't mean to create a superiority complex here, because we all can connect to Galactic Center during transits. It's okay if you find that your natal chart doesn't necessarily have an alignment to the Galactic Center. We can all tune to cosmic consciousness if we choose to. the more we choose to evolve, the more we are supported by life through synchronicities and through blessings that are supporting our choice for growth. Because I believe wholeheartedly that one of the primal governing force in our universe is evolution. And by choosing to attune to cosmos, it doesn't necessarily mean to only dwell in other worlds and being out there. Quite the opposite. You can actually use the galactic center frequency or just your choice of going within to tap into divine intelligence to help you navigate your everyday experiences. This is a picture of a lady sitting in the middle of a corporate office. And I remember when I used to be part of the corporate world, where I was already back then, a decade ago, choosing to consciously advance myself through desire for personal development or evolution of my consciousness, tuning within to find inner resources and guidance that help me navigate difficult situations. So I hope this presentation will inspire you to choose more consciously, to go within, to connect with divine intelligence that permeates the cosmos. Now, let us talk about the Galactic Center. It is a supermassive black hole located at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. It is actually believed that there is a supermassive black hole at the center of every galaxy or every supercluster. It is suggested that this black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy has a mass that is 4.3 million times that of our sun. Astronomers have calculated that the diameter of the galactic center is around 14.6 million miles. Its central point is called Sagittarius A, and we can track this point astrologically currently, year 2023, at 27 degrees and 16 minutes of Sagittarius. Now, because this point is so wide, so large, we don't really have an exactitude. So you might notice that some softwares vary by astroseconds, but don't worry about the minute details. If you look at around 27 degrees of Sagittarius, you will be able to locate where galactic center is aligned in your astrological chart. We'll talk about more of that later. The galactic center is approximately 26,000 light years away from Earth. And you might think, how can something so far away impact my consciousness? Well, it's a black hole, and black holes have infinite singularity points inside them that bend time and space. And this is something that is very unique also about human beings and our consciousness. Our brains are able to shift through different brainwave states. When you are in your everyday mode that is analytical, logical, you are in what we know as beta brainwave state. But when you go within, you do a little bit of breath work, focus on your breathing, center yourself inside your being. You close your eyes and you go within the vastness of space inside you. Your brain starts shifting to alpha brainwave frequency and then deeper into theta and even gamma brainwave. And at some point, you might be able to tap into your own infinite singularity at which you can connect to anywhere at any time. And this is what we do in regression hypnosis. We help the client to go into theta brainwave state where they are able to tap into past, present, and future. So after studying galactic centers, astrological alignments in people's charts, I can clearly see that it can act as a transmitter of divine consciousness. And natal planets that are linked to the galactic center may indicate a soul agreement for you to support human evolution. I've seen this over and over. I wanted to share these images from NASA and from different perspectives. The Sagittarius A is somewhere here at the brightest point within the center of the Milky Way galaxy. I mean, the space around it is just packed with celestial objects. If you start researching deep space objects, you will discover that astrologically, the zodiac sign of Sagittarius is one of the busiest signs in terms of nebulas, galaxies, superclusters. It's packed with supra consciousness. And there are gems like this all over the zodiac. However, here we are focusing on super cosmic points that have direct gravitational impact on our solar system. So why is it important for you to know where the galactic center is in your chart? Well, locating 27 degrees of Sagittarius approximately in astrological charts can point to life areas that hold the highest potential for us to reach and embody higher consciousness. And this is also where we can more easily receive and act on divine inspirations to help us evolve. So let us learn about the Galactic Center's Orb of Influence, planets conjunct Galactic Center in the 12 houses, Galactic Center aspects, and Galactic Center transits. It's a lot of information and a lot of ground to cover. I'm including free downloadable resources for you to keep and use going forward. So you don't have to memorize everything. This is a presentation that you can pause, write down some notes, review your chart, work with it, review it again, see it as a gift that'll keep on giving. Galactic Center's orb of influence is at least 3 degrees. This means that if you have a planet that is at 24 degrees of Sagittarius, you can consider it still as conjunct to the galactic center. It doesn't have to be only at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, it can be at least 3 degrees before. In fact, some astrologers would go as far as 5, even 7 degrees orb. So if you have planets at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, you might want to still consider that that planet is in conjunct alignment with the galactic center. It really depends. And obviously, the closer to the degree of 27 degrees of Sagittarius, the stronger the influence will be. You may consider slightly wider orb for the conjunct alignments and be less generous with maybe trine sextiles, where you should really maybe stick with around 3 degrees orb. But it is a matter of personal preference. The best is to explore this through experience, through reviewing many different charts and reflecting on everything that you'll learn in this presentation. In Western astrology, we consider precession of stars, the movement of stars through the zodiac wheel. For those who are nerdy like me and you would like to know how to calculate the position of the galactic center manually, if you remember that in year 2000, Sagittarius A point was at 26 degrees of Sagittarius and 57 minutes. So for example, if you want to know where Sagittarius A is in the year 2023, you will take 23 years, because that's the difference from year 2000, multiply that by 0.838, which is the amount of astro minutes per year movement of the galactic center or any of the fixed stars. That'll give you the result of 19.27 astro minutes. It's not degrees, it's minutes. So you want to add that to 26 degrees and 57 minutes of Sagittarius. And remember that astrological degree has 60 minutes. You don't go to 100, you go to 60. So 26.57 plus 19.27 will give you 27 degrees of Sagittarius and 16 minutes. Don't worry about the exactitude. As I said, the orb of influence is quite large. Additional resource that you can use is my second website called galacticastrochart.com, where we have a free software to help you calculate galactic center alignments to any of your natal planets. Or during the transits, you can look at today's chart and see if galactic center is aligned to any of the planets. And our software is not only doing the conjunct alignments, but also opposite, trine, sextiles, and squares. So let's look at the galactic center aligned planets and what it means when you have, for example, Sun, Moon, Mercury, any of the personal planets aligned to the galactic center. What I found truly is that people who have natal planets aligned to high degrees of Sagittarius have a deeper connection to the galactic center, and they may have a significant role to play in assisting humanity to evolve into higher consciousness. And it's something that may be activated later in their life. They pass their Saturn return, or just all depends. There's so many nuances to this that I've discovered and cannot possibly all cover in an hour-long presentation. But here are some of the main key points that I want to share with you. These are just bullet points here on this presentation, but the downloadable resource that I offer as part of this masterclass will go into greater detail for each of the planets. Sun. When people have Sun aligned to galactic center, especially as conjunct, so Sun at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, they sooner or later discover that they're very powerful manifester, and especially when they choose to align their vision, their life direction with higher consciousness, with embodiment of divine will, where you know that what you're doing, that your actions are aligned with universal harmony, well-being of all, you know, these higher principles, higher virtues that are admirable, then the person tend to manifest positive outcomes in their life really strongly. And in fact, they may always find themselves eventually at the center of the group work environment that they are guided to. You know, start paying attention in your astrological charts, or people you know, anyone who is kind of more influential, where is their galactic center in their astrology? These people tend to be recognized as leaders because they may be guided with greater ease to tune into cosmic consciousness that is in alignment with universal harmony. Next, Moon. People with Moon aligned to galactic center, they find over time that they're able to really deeply understand human emotions and the real purpose of emotions, our emotional body. There's so much guidance there in our everyday experiences. And people with Moon conjunct galactic center, part of their role may be to help people understand their emotions, transcend their emotions, and use their emotion to propel them in life towards higher and higher frequency. You may notice many of the healers and spiritual guides, intuitive coaches may have galactic center aligned to their Moon. They're just naturally able to navigate emotional space. Mercury aligned to the galactic center. These people, their themes seem to be understanding the power of the mind, the higher mind. When we clean up our mental space and purify our thoughts, the more you do that, the clearer the path becomes and greater amount of blessings come your way. So people with Mercury aligned to galactic center, they may feel quite passionate about mastering their thoughts and then teaching others how to leverage the power of their higher mind. Venus conjunct galactic center, people that I come across, they seem to naturally navigate towards virtuous values. They are people of higher integrity. They may find it harder to understand those who act against harmony and balance, and they may be guided to teach about the importance of spiritual values or higher values. And these people also can be quite charming. Mars conjunct galactic center, people that I've come across that have this alignment, they find themselves in situations where they need to use courage and will to improve situations or resolve some issues where there may be difficulty that requires strong energy, higher consciousness, and truly courage and willpower to transform difficulty and bring positive changes to the world. So they may feel like that, like from within their being, where they'll be navigating towards situations where they can leverage the gift of their being, coming through Mars aligned to galactic center. Jupiter conjunct galactic center, these people are just a force of positivity, and they really are here to anchor joy and remind people how to see the brighter side of everything. Glass half full attitude, the silver lining, you know, and they are usually guided to situations where that is needed. You know, they will turn anyone in despair into a state of hope. Saturn conjunct galactic center, people are guided from within their being to bring structure and order to places of chaos, or to situations of chaos. They just have this natural ability to see how order can be restored, and they would advocate the importance of personal responsibility, accountability, and so on. People with Uranus conjunct galactic center tend to be true paradigm shifters. They tend to be divinely inspired in the right moment, at the right time, to bring solutions that change the way we live. No limits, breaking limits, as Uranus would. So add Uranus to galactic center and you have a paradigm shifter. Neptune aligned to the galactic center. The whole generation in early 80s would have this alignment, and they find themselves tuning into and tapping into divine consciousness, higher consciousness, unity consciousness with such ease. Many of these show up as channelers, teaching, channeling, light language. There's a whole new paradigm in the spiritual world, and huge amount of people that were born in the early 80s or late 70s, they just have this natural ability to do that. Now, Pluto aligned to the galactic center, you would see that in someone who acts like a master alchemist, someone who knows how to transcend difficult situations, very intense moments where they can tap into higher consciousness, bring divine inspiration into most intense situations, and suddenly just transform darkness into light. Again, you can find much more details in the downloadable document. I encourage you to start paying attention to where is 27 degrees of Sagittarius in people's charts. Do they have natal planets aligned to galactic center? And can you start noticing the manifestations of the galactic center, higher consciousness, divine guidance in their life expressed through the planet's archetypal frequency? Now let's move on to the galactic center and 12 astro houses. What does it mean when you have galactic center and different houses? What does it mean when you have galactic center and different houses? Through experience, I do believe that the galactic center in any astrological house can point to a life area where we're guided to evolve, align with, and embody higher consciousness. It also tends to attract many blessings and good fortune to that life area when we choose to evolve there. So people that I've noticed have galactic center sitting in their first house, they just seem to naturally embody this new earth paradigm where they live their life in a way, or at least they present themselves in their one-to-one situations in a way that if we all live this way, there would be great harmony and balance in this world. When they show up in any situation, they find a way to make it better. They have this beautiful, positive attitude and can find solutions easily to any problems that arise in their immediate environment. That would be the people that you can go to for answers. And you will notice as I go through this that if we didn't know about the galactic center, this would simply describe the Sagittarius at a cusp of each of these houses. But it's not like that. There is a nuance to the galactic center present in these houses. There really is like a touch of divine, touch of higher consciousness, cosmic consciousness, unity consciousness, and just this natural ability to bring solutions that are really high vibrational, and where the person has a deep desire to do what is in alignment with benefit to all. And before I go further here, I also want to point out, if you find a galactic center in a house where there is no planet or there is no real conjunct, opposite, square, trine, sextile alignment at all, it may not be as tangibly noticeable with the person. It's more like a dormant energy that is there, but nevertheless, the potential is very strong for that to be activated when you start consciously reflecting on the potential of the galactic center and the potential of the infinite singularity within your being. We are like stargates through our consciousness, can tap to anywhere, anytime through sheer power of our consciousness. So, and it's okay if the energy remains dormant when the person is not really actively expressing higher consciousness in that life area. It usually is that way for a reason. Sometimes we unconsciously hang in there, waiting for the rest of the environment to align to slightly higher frequencies so that there isn't too much of a discourse. And this is something that we can delineate through different aspects, alignments in the chart. Again, a lot of nuances that are pointing to why certain energies may be dormant and when is a time of this divine activation of higher consciousness. So the first house, we covered that. Second house with the galactic center present. People with this alignment would have a stronger potential to become an advocate for higher values, an advanced economy that benefits all. They may be just pondering constantly or reflecting on, why do we have to pay taxes, or why do we have to do these things that should be free? And they tend to be perhaps even more vocal about the issues of economy and how can we make this world a better place so that everyone can be comfortable and have access to the basic resources that are important for our well-being. These may also be people that are not so easily swayed by material wealth, carrot hanging in front of them. They will value a lot more wisdom, knowledge, information, spirituality. Now, the Galactic Center in the third house, I find these people can easily come up with ideas that can really improve their immediate environment, their local structures. They can be the ones that start an organization that will feed the needy. They can come up with youth programs. Like they will look at their neighborhood and see what can we do to make this neighborhood better. Or now I'm thinking this could also be a taxi driver who is doing a lot of short distance travel, but holds this amazing energy of Galactic Center in their third house, who will just make every passenger's lives better. They will somehow have this inner gift to uplift the people that they take on the ride with them. Or a teacher in early school education that is aligning to using astrology in a better understanding how their students learn, or bringing new age topics into their curriculum that they apply to the early education students to help them understand the importance of the many different components to the well-being of a human body, mind, and soul. Fourth house aligned to the Galactic Center. These would be people that find it really important to create a healthy home environment that stimulates our personal growth, well-being. They may feel very strongly about divine feminine principles and connecting to the ancestral energies, understanding the importance of ancestors, kind of connecting the past with the future, honoring the old. Again, you can start sensing how much this Galactic Center wants to be expressed through our being at any opportunity. It's like we are the fractal of cosmos. This universe is fractal, and we all have an opportunity to be vessels to evolutionary forces in our life, in our unique way. And your astrological chart, your alignment to these beautiful, powerful points can show you where is your highest potential for embodying divine. Fifth house, with the Galactic Center present in it, these are people that will come up with innovative ideas to support the new Earth children. These people will really feel guided to research and learn all about the new generations, why they are different, how can we better connect with them, how can we create safer space for them to thrive and fulfill their mission on Earth. Or also people with the fifth house Galactic Center alignment, they can feel called to just demonstrate and embody the importance of joy, following your excitement, following your passions, taking a risk. If it feels right, just do it, and then showing through experience how you are blessed when you do that. So you can see here that it doesn't just have to be all super, high consciousness that is totally out there. Galactic Center alignments, they tend to really apply to everyday experiences in infinite ways. It's always about how can I find a better way to do this? And this way has to be aligned with universal harmony. It has to support the well-being of my body, support the well-being of others, the whole environment. That's the Galactic Center speaking. Sixth house aligned to Galactic Center. You will find this a lot with what I call divine healer, a healer that addresses the issue holistically. These would possibly be people that have dozens of certificates under their belt of all kinds of different healing modalities, and they will have this huge toolbox of things that they can use in a very unique way. Depends on the person they are assisting. They'll feel like they're here on a mission to help people, serve people in whatever way they feel guided to. Very practical application of divine wisdom. Seventh house, aligned to the Galactic Center, is usually found with people who through life were guided to connect with a variety of different people. They will at many points of their life be exposed to people that are very intelligent and advanced, and they, through the exposure to such a wide variety of different individuals, they learn to understand and master relationships and the core essence of the relationships. They can tap into each other's qualities and then leverage that in each relationship. They will just know what's best in you, what's best in them, how they can bring that together and bring it to the next level together. And perhaps even becoming teachers of relationships, mastering relationships, understanding relationships, leveraging relationships. Now, 8th house aligned to the galactic center, these can be powerful transformers of darkness into light. I've seen that a lot with QHHT practitioners. QHHT is the quantum healing hypnosis technique taught by Dolores Cannon, or any practitioner that works with deep emotions, that is not afraid to go to dive into the psyche of human consciousness. These people are usually very interested in metaphysical topics, occult matters, fascinated with everything that's hidden, not afraid of death. They would see it as just another way of getting closer to source, passionate about deep psychology. And then as they acquire all that wisdom throughout their life, they feel called to teach it, share it, help people understand their deep psychology and reveal what's hidden so that it can be healed. And another area of the 8th house that can be activated through Galactic Center here would be really leveraging resources of other people, or being very fortunate in acquiring other people's resources, whether finances or inheritance, managing other people's wealth, but really in a way that is aligned with higher principles, high integrity, well-being of all. 9th house aligned to the galactic center, we'll find this with what I would call teacher of universal wisdom, people who are fascinated by the evolutionary forces, people who really want to understand the meaning of life, people who may often ponder the importance of spiritual attainment, studying many different religions and finding a common thread amongst them, pondering how can we evolve religion so that it can embody higher frequency. You might find this alignment with philosophers, teachers of higher educations, professors, and taking higher education to the next level, religious representatives. These may be people who are naturally pushed to be the channel for religious teachings, and people are naturally gravitating towards them. Remember, the black hole has a mighty magnetic force that pulls everything in its proximity towards it. Now, 10th house aligned to the galactic center, we'll see this with master strategists, people who are always focusing on how they can take the business to the next level, but in alignment with the well-being of all. These would be inspirational leaders that people look up to because they lead with integrity, they teach responsibility, and they are able to be many steps ahead of everyone else. I can think of a situation where there was a company that's been established for several decades, and then a new CEO comes in with the Galactic Center at her or his midheaven, and they'll just take the company to the next level within a matter of a couple of years. 11th house aligned to the Galactic Center, we can find that with visionaries and advocates for sustainable community. This is growing in popularity. How can we all live together in a way that is in balance with nature and in benefit to humanity? This can also be a person that knows how to leverage the power of their communities, their friends from all over the world, the collective energy, and people coming together. They can drive groups to work together on sustainable solutions. And those who might not necessarily be at the forefront, this could also be individuals that are daydreaming from the comfort of their home. No one knows about them, but they're daydreaming in a very powerful way about the future, highest potential future. They receive the ideas, and through their mind, they feel the emotion of it, they feel the energy to it, and they help anchor the higher frequency timelines on Earth. And as a result of that, it becomes easier to manifest those potential high vibe timelines on Earth. I've met people who really seem preoccupied with those kinds of vision, and they get really excited, and they really feel the future in the now. And I believe, well, through the QHHT sessions, when we connected with their higher selves, their role is to be an anchor of highest potentials on Earth, to bring them into the collective consciousness grid. And then there are other people whose mission is to be the action taker. They will then make it happen. But you have like conscious transmitters within our human population that work undercover. I call them light workers undercover, where no one will know about how much you're contributing just through the power of your daydreaming, your imagination, your imprinting into the collective consciousness, the potentials. Our consciousness is so powerful. Okay, now 12th house aligned to the galactic center. These would be individuals that can feel called to do a lot of collective subconscious healing work. And just like what I've mentioned in the 11th house, they would often work behind the scenes where no one knows how much they do. I know so many individuals who would consciously reserve time during specific astrological alignments where they can leverage the power of celestial bodies supporting certain ideas. They would reserve time and they would go within and tap into the collective consciousness, bring in the cosmic forces and help clearing, healing, transmuting the pain and trauma that is within the collective. There's so many people doing that. So many shamans would do that too. And another trait with this 12th house alignment is deep desire to dissolve the ego and really merge with the cosmic mind, be a pure vessel for divine consciousness, guiding them through everyday experiences in a very graceful way. A lot of compassionate energy would be sitting here too, compassionate healers. So I hope through these examples, you're getting the idea and sense of how Galactic Center is influencing our lives in a very particular way, very tangible experience that can be applied to everyday situations. I'm curious to hear in your comments if any of this resonates based on the alignments that you have in your natal chart or maybe your family members. Let me know. Now, Galactic Center in aspects, the conjunct alignment to the Galactic Center, the connection to higher consciousness here through the planet or through the calculated point feels present all the time. It is well integrated as part of the person's identity. It'll just be natural part of their personality to see the bigger picture, to see the best in others, all those beautiful positive traits of Sagittarius. So we're talking about the high degrees of Sagittarius. I've mentioned in the 9th house theory on the Astrology Hub channel that there are 3 different decans in astrology. The 0 to 9 degrees is the first decan, which is connected to the physical body experiences and manifestations of the physical reality. The second decan of 10 to 19 degrees of any zodiac is connected to the mental sphere of life. And then the third decan, 20 to 29 degrees, is third decan of the high degrees of any zodiac sign, is all about the spiritual life experience. So having planets in high degrees of Sagittarius, they'll really always tend to express in a more spiritual way, soul level wisdom, soul inspired solutions. What I also noticed is that if the planet that is aligned to the galactic center is the planet that holds the highest degree in the chart, all the other planets would be at lower degrees of any other signs. The planet that has that highest degree will be the leading planet, leading consciousness for the person's entire life throughout their chart. And that is something that a person can turn to for higher guidance. What is the planet that holds that highest degree in the astrological chart? That's the leader of highest consciousness. That's the most advanced consciousness in your chart. You lead with your will, with your courage. Is Mars at the highest degree in your chart? Do you lead with your mind? Is it Mercury? Have a look and see if it applies in your own life too. So here, if we add galactic center alignment to it, the person seems to have this natural ability to receive higher guidance throughout their life. For the person themselves, it can feel like living a parallel consciousness where they're aware of their human life experience and kind of the ego chatter, but they're also very aware of the higher self's wisdom, kind of always feeling like they're being observed by their spirit guides, if you want to call it that. But really, it's the higher intelligence of your own being. So it can feel like that, very much like parallel consciousness. And you're free to choose what, sometimes ego wants for itself, whatever desires of the human body, but at the same time, there is that higher awareness. So usually these people tend to choose the higher road, the higher path that is mature and full of integrity. Now, the opposite alignment. So if you have planets in high degrees of Gemini, here, how I've noticed this manifest is that it tends to be harder for the person to embody higher consciousness, higher wisdom. The person tends to engage or express the archetype of the planet in their life in a more scattered way, kind of like Gemini would. They may feel more human than divine, or like the starseed concept. And another big thing with the opposite is that they tend to attract situations, external circumstances, or people that are inspiring them to higher consciousness, towards evolution. And they always feel like, oh, I wish I could be that. I wish I knew that. I wish I said that. They have this deep desire to align to Galactic Center through the polar opposite. They may attract a partner that have that higher frequency of the high degrees of Sagittarius through some of their planets. So, and usually through transits, when you have planets hitting the opposing point, the Sagittarius, that deep desire to evolve towards their higher self potential becomes stronger during those transits. And in that case, I would encourage the person, in fact, to schedule their time to go into deep meditation or journal or schedule a spiritual retreat. I'll talk about that actually in transits. And in terms of kind of soul choosing, or, we have a certain attraction point based on the frequency of our soul prior to being born to Earth. Sometimes these really high vibrational souls that are maybe highly advanced, or they came from the part of the cosmic ocean that is very high frequency, they choose a family on Earth that is very dense, where there may have been a lot of trauma in their DNA. It's very heavy frequency, because if they didn't choose that, they may find it really hard to integrate and be here. They need like a heavier anchor to pull them into this physical reality. So they need this huge contrast between where they are coming from on a soul level, very high frequency, pure, unity consciousness, divine bliss, and they need to dive deep into heavy human experience. You meet them halfway with the physicality. So then it's safer for them to have opposing alignments to these cosmic points, because if it was conjunct, it would be too much of a light frequency, and the contrast with the reality of their human family connection would be too great. It would cause too much suffering. So it's almost like a divine grace in choosing the opposing alignments that allow the person to slowly but surely start integrating and remembering who they really are on a soul level. As they mature into adulthood, then they're able to better navigate the human experience and different types of personalities. Then they can consciously choose when they embody higher consciousness and express it, or when they kind of just lock it in and navigate certain human connections in a masterful way. So that's what I found as a reason for opposing alignments. It's all divinely orchestrated. There is higher intelligence and deeper meaning behind everything. And at the same time, none of it matters. The paradox of life. Okay, next, the square alignments. You will see that if you have high degrees of Pisces or Virgo aligned planets, here there is a real dilemma of deep desire to embody higher consciousness via the planet of the person, but at the same time worrying about judgment from others in the life area that the Galactic Center is squaring. Like, it's really strongly present for the person. They're afraid to speak thoughts of higher wisdom in their immediate environment, wherever Galactic Center is squaring, because they are afraid of the judgment. They feel like, if I embody this higher wisdom that I so deeply desire to be one with, they will not like me. They'll judge me. I'll be like a misfit, two incompatible forces. So, as with all squares in astrology, they push us to learn through differences, embrace the differences, allow for the uniqueness of all to be expressed in a harmonious way, and finding a way to live together in compromise. I always think of a situation of roommates who are two completely different people with different hobbies, different passions, different music styles, different types of food, but because they kind of have to live together, they find a way. While they want to change each other, they'll struggle, they'll fight, but once they surrender to acceptance of each other's differences and embracing each other's differences, so there's great wisdom in squares. Here, one of the lessons that I find with people who have squares to galactic center, that they are guided to master discernment in when to speak higher wisdom. Like people with squares to galactic center, they learn the hard way. They start speaking and sharing higher wisdom in situations and with people who are not interested whatsoever. And it's just crickets. There's this connection, there's discord, and even the way they communicate is not in a flow. So you learn to only speak higher wisdom when it is requested, when a person is ready to hear, when they ask questions, and you only answer their question and no more. Okay, trine aligned to the galactic center, you'll find that in planets of high degrees of Leo and Aries. Here, I find it is easy to embody higher consciousness via the planet or the house when needed. This manifests as inner resources of higher wisdom, higher guidance, ability to navigate any problem, any issue with ease. But the wisdom of the galactic center is dormant. While it's not needed, it's just not expressed or even consciously connected. But when there is a need for either growth or there's a challenging situation, the person somehow just knows how to become the best version they could ever be and just come up with these solutions. And it feels like it's coming from within, like, oh, wow, this is an old soul that can really handle stuff, you know? And again, it'll manifest either in the house or through the planet in a very particular way. If we have sextiles, in contrast to trine, high degrees of Libra and Aquarius, these people will receive blessings that feel like divine interference or, you know, angels help me in situations that are difficult or challenging. It almost feels like a good karma. Like whenever I need, the help is there for me. So that'll happen when you have sextiles, the galactic center, and depending on the house or the planet, it'll manifest in a very particular way. And especially it's very strong when the person chooses the higher road, when they act with integrity in their situations, then the sextiles to galactic center will really bless their life. Next on our presentation, we have the galactic center in transits. As I said, do not worry in case you don't have galactic center aligned to your natal planets. We all can grab these high galactic energetic points thanks to transits. If you're keeping track of daily transits, always look if any of the planets are transiting the high degrees of any zodiac sign. The beginners to astrology will find it easiest to first start paying attention to conjunct and opposite alignments, especially of Moon and Mercury, because they move through 27 degrees of Sagittarius quite often. In fact, Moon 13 times a year. So start there is my suggestion. And for the more advanced astrology enthusiasts here, you can look at the meaning of every aspect planet, you know, within 3 degrees orb to the galactic center, and look at the meaning of the maybe lesser known aspect and see how you can bring a higher consciousness into the picture. So how do I work with the galactic center, and what I also suggest you can do too? I use galacticastrochart.com, the website we created that tracks galactic center alignments to natal planets, and not only in conjunct, but also opposite, square, trine, sextiles. I don't know of any other software that does that at present, so we're quite delighted that we were able to create this and offer this for free to anyone using it. So you look at your natal chart, you notice what planets are aligned to galactic center, or if there aren't any, what house is the galactic center sitting in your chart. And by the way, our website, galacticastrochart.com, is based on Placidus house system because it is linked through astroseek.com, which has Placidus on default. Our websites are connected. So Then you tune into the meaning of the galactic center aligned to your natal planet or the house, and reflect on how you can better align and embody higher frequency in that life area through that planet archetype. The more you start living in a prayer of, desiring to grow, evolve in greater alignment with universal harmony, the more guidance will become available to you from within and all around you. Life is magical that way. Then look at the transiting dates that can accelerate your personal growth. So everything I've discussed in previous slides, you can apply that based on what planets are coming up. See, and always check what house the transit is happening in, because that will be the area that will give you potential for accelerated growth there. And then once you identify those dates, you can schedule deep meditation, journaling session, or spiritual retreat, something that allows you to leverage the cosmic alignments. For those of you here that like a good challenge and you want to take it a step further, I invite you to pay attention also to asteroids that may be aligned to the galactic center or transiting or aspecting galactic center. You can also look at minor aspects to galactic center, the degrees that I didn't mention here, but there are several other minor aspects that also can be translated. So whatever is the traditional astrology interpretation of these, whether asteroids or minor aspects, you need to add the concept of divine consciousness, where divine feminine and divine masculine are united, where there is beautiful harmony between one and the other, harmony with all. And see how you can start coming up with your own interpretations of what everything means. Now, I did promise at the beginning of this presentation that we'll also talk about kind of higher octaves of the galactic center. First, I just want you to have a quick look at this amazing picture of just infinite amount of superclusters. Our Milky Way galaxy is part of the Virgo supercluster. Milky Way galaxy here. Look how much consciousness, how much cosmic stuff we are surrounded by. It's hard to comprehend. Kind of just getting things into perspective. This amazing paradox of being so insignificant and yet able to connect with all through this incredible mind. What I want to point out here with this picture is that we can get lost in tuning into all these many different powerful clusters. And there may be people here that will feel a strong connection to one or the other. But I feel because of the physical human experience that we have here, it's important to focus on celestial bodies that are gravitationally affecting our Milky Way galaxy. So Milky Way galaxy on this picture is here. It is gravitationally pulled toward the Super Galactic Center, which is around here. And Super Galactic Center is another massive black hole, exponentially greater than Galactic Center. The Super Galactic Center is pulling towards its core over 30 other galaxies, including ours. So imagine the force of that. And there is another octave. Super Galactic Center, together with our galactic center, is pulled towards the Great Attractor, which pulls hundreds of galaxies. And it was discovered that that is being pulled by even greater force, which is called the Shapley Attractor or Shapley supercluster. And to put that into perspective, if you remember, I said at the beginning that the galactic center mass is 4.3 million greater that of our sun. And here Shapley Attractor is estimated by astronomers. Mass of Shapley Attractor center is believed to be between 500 million to 75 billion times greater the sun. Like, you just cannot comprehend the mightiness of this. So Philip Sedgwick is the one that started looking at this in people's charts. And since I was introduced to these astrological degrees, we started plugging it into our system and looking at it in people's charts. And what we found that, especially people in my community, students of Galactic Astrology, many of them will have these powerful alignments in their chart as conjunct, mainly oppositions, and certainly in many of the aspects. And those that have most of these in their astrology from very early age in their life, they felt different. and they feel like they are tapped into this quantum consciousness. And it wasn't easy to navigate human life experience because they were perceiving so much simultaneously. It's really hard to learn to discern and navigate the vastness of consciousness inside your mind when you have these powerful, powerful alignments. So I want to invite you to explore these important points in your astrological charts. See if you have any planets aligned not only to the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, but do you have anything at early degrees of Libra, which would be connected to Super Galactic Center? Do you have anything connected to the Great Attractor at 14 degrees of Sag, or Shapley Attractor at early degrees of Scorpio? Shapley Attractor in particular is quite important at this time because it is conjuncting the south node of our human collective. So the way it shows up is everyone is starting to become much more in tune, much more aware of the motives behind everyone's action. Like if someone is shallow in their motives just for their own benefit, disregarding the impact they'll have on others that may be quite negative and painful, that will be revealed. Shapley Attractors, the 2 degrees of Scorpio, and wherever you have that in your chart, whatever life area, you will be guided to be utterly honest with yourself and with others. You need to get to the core of your being and let it be revealed. And as you do that, the attractive force of the Shapley will activate in your own life experience, and you will receive many blessings. There will be something about you that will be very attractive. No more pretending, no more being a product of your environment. No, stepping to the core of your being and expressing it in a really beautiful and powerful way. People who tend to have Shapley or the Great Attractor, and really the Super Galactic Center and Galactic Center too, you will really find them navigating more towards, like, life will push them to the center stage so that they can step up into their divine leadership. I want to bring in the esoteric manifestation of these points that I feel is aligned here really nicely. That is, when we activate the galactic center frequency in our life through our astrology, through our conscious understanding of it and choosing to evolve to higher consciousness, we become more conscious of our creative divine potential. And then the next step in our evolution is to bring that higher guidance, higher wisdom into our engagement with others. So the early degree of Libra in your chart, in your natal chart, where is it? What life area are you called to embody divine relationships, where you are just and harmonious, acting with integrity in your relationships with others? Are you maybe called to bring order and harmony into relationships that are out of balance, out of harmony? How can you express Super Galactic Center consciousness, which is like the higher octave of the Galactic Center? How can you collaborate with others in a way that brings the best in everyone? How can you move others to the next level? How can you help others to activate Galactic Center in their charts? So it's like the next level. You need to start collaborating with others. And then the next stage of that, you start working and experiencing, working in group settings, in unity with others, but you together, as you come consciously following divinely inspired idea to help to make this world a better place in your own unique way. The Great Attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius is then pushing you to evolve towards a higher consciousness as a group, working as one, the unity consciousness, and not being preachy and pushy of your agendas and your beliefs onto others. That will not be supported by the evolutionary forces of the Great Attractor. You will learn through experiences as a group, and you as a leader amongst other leaders in your group unit, you will have to just lead by example and be patient with others who are not there yet. Like, it's okay when others don't get it just yet. What we find with these black holes influences in our lives, that people who have these alignments, they're ahead of time, way ahead of time. Philip Sedgwick has noticed that it's 6 to 9 months for these cosmic points downloads in person that received it, it takes 6 to 9 months for others to get it. When you present to others some amazing divine guidance download that you received, by download I mean like realization of something quite amazing that hasn't been known yet, you present it to others at a time when you received it, and there'll be crickets. They will not get it at all. It'll just go in and out. They will change the topic, but wait 6 months. And at that point, they will actually think they came up with it, because it'll be integrated into the collective consciousness within 6 to 9 months. Then they're ready. So like there is a lag time when you are working with these black holes. Okay. And with that esoteric concept of individual working in relationship with others, and then as a group, you take it to the next level. And then as you do that, as you master that experience, it's time to activate Shapley in your experience, where you really work as a vessel for divine, where you are stripped to the core of all your limiting beliefs, all the illusions of ego. None of it matters. You're just pure vessel for creator expressing itself through you. And the way you live and express yourself is very attractive to others, because there's nothing for you to hide. There's nothing for you to lose. You innately understand the meaning of life, so it's very, very attractive energy. So just a quick recap, my tips to get you started with Galactic Center astrology. Number 1, look at any chart and see where is 27 degrees of Sagittarius, and then expand the orb plus minus 3 degrees or 5 or 7. Be generous, if you will, especially with conjunct alignment. Reflect on the life area that is connected to the astrological house. Where do you, or the person you're reading for, where do you receive the blessings of the Galactic Center's placement? Look at the aspects and ponder the meaning of them. How is the Galactic Center frequency manifested in the person's life? Look at the meaning in the free resources that are included with this masterclass, and then reflect on how can you embody a higher consciousness in the relevant life area via the planet or via the transiting planet. Remember, we can all connect to these points through transits. And in fact, you can scrap all that. You can just go within and find your infinite singularity through consciousness by shifting your brainwave states from beta to alpha to theta and even gamma, where you can connect to anything and everything from inside out. So I wanted to bring this painting of Michelangelo of man reaching out his hand to God, and the fact that the fingers are not really connecting, they're just about hitting the point of connection. And I believe the hidden meaning behind that is that God is reaching out to us as much as he can, stretching his hand to support us, but it is up to us to take that leap and reach closer to meet God halfway. We have to do the work. We have to choose to want to evolve, to want to reach for the stars. And that's when the help becomes available. So as I said at the beginning of this presentation, when you attune to cosmos, it will advance your life and bless your life in so many ways. So the quote here that I came up with is that the energetic particles from the galactic center and beyond constantly bathe the earth, advancing us forward on our evolving soul journey. And if any of you would be interested in scientific research about how many changes our Earth is going through in terms of being exposed to gamma particles that are coming from space in increasing quantities comparing to the past, our scientists are able to measure this stuff. The person that has been researching this for decades is a gentleman called Rory Duff. I suggest you subscribe to his newsletters. It's always fascinating to see how really the Earth is exposed to very high frequency light particles that are pushing us all to evolve towards greater connectivity, towards greater harmony.